Chair's not scooting. My wheel's not right.
Kizzy, it's the time we get down. Yo, son, you know the sound.
What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you're having a lovely day. What are we doing today? We're going to listen to some Bob Dylan. We're going to listen to the first side of Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks, 1975, July 20th to be precise. This would be his 15th album we're going to listen to. I'm excited. I know pretty much nothing about Bob Dylan. You guys had voted in a poll I posted quite a while back now. I said choose one. It didn't matter which one you chose. I posted 5 albums in there. It didn't matter what you chose. I was going to do all of the albums no matter what. All you did was determine the release dates, basically, of them, in a sense. So we're going to do this one. This is the first one, and the one that was highly voted, or the highest voted, from that poll. So I'm excited to listen to this. I've heard a lot of good things about this album. It was recommended a lot of times just throughout the history of the channel. The album cover looks really like artsy, introspective. It kind of gives me like a Joni Mitchell kind of vibe to it, but let's go ahead and get into it. So with the first side, we are going to be listening. Hold on, let me pull up the track listing here. We're going to start up with Tangled Up in Blue, Simple Twist of Fate, You're a Big Girl Now, Idiot Wind, and You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go. I'm imagining a little heartbreak in that one. As you know, the music will be edited here. You guys know where to get it. Click in the description below and you'll find that. But otherwise, let's go ahead and start with it. We'll probably stop after every song and talk about it a little bit, unless I feel that they kind of run into each other a little sequentially. But hope you guys are having a lovely day. Let's do it. Starting up with Tangled Up in Blue.
They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough. I was alone, the past was close behind. I seen a lot of women pouring off of every page like it was written in my soul.
This is going to be a deep album. I can already feel just listening to that. Sorry. We don't want to go there just yet. Tangled Up in Blue presents us with a heartbroken trail of tears, in a sense, as we navigate through Bob Dylan and this relationship with this woman. First of all, I love the actual title of the song and how it relates to the story. The story is so important here. And like, the folk element is beautifully done. I love the guitar playing, the harmonica at the end. I really like that little double time they have in the middle of the verse where the drums pick up a lot. Love that and the boom, and then it goes back to its regular groove. And the whole time, Bob is just telling his story, an Americana kind of folk tale. And his voice to me sounds confident and yet a little uneasy, as if he's sharing a part of himself that is painful for him to share. I like that kind of duality you get in his voice. He's confident to share it with us, but uneasy to release the details, so to speak. This is a really beautiful track with a strong narrative. But getting back to that title, Tangled Up in Blue, so I like how he repeats it in the song at the end of each of the verses, because he's tangled up in this relationship. He's tangled up with this woman. He's tangled up in her. But also, tangled up in blue, blue is typically signified of like sadness and heartbreak. So he's tangled up in these emotions. He's tangled up in his own feelings. And he doesn't quite know what to do. You ever just had a connection with someone, but that person, for whatever reason, disappears from your life, and then you think about it, you never forget them. And then maybe you take that further step, and you say, I'm going to go try and find them. And you may find them in a completely, like you said, a completely different place in their lives than you were expecting. It may be uneasy, it may be weird. They might recognize you, they may not recognize you. They may tie your shoes. I don't think that was literal. Let's talk about these lyrics, though. We're not going to go over every single one, but I do think that the lyrics are really the heart and soul of this particular track. Early one morning, the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she'd change at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks, they said our lives together sure was going to be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book was big enough. And I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes, heading out for the East Coast. Lord knows I've paid some dues getting through Tangled Up in Blue. So I like how perhaps they tried to get together, but it said her folks said our lives are going to be difficult. They didn't like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't enough. So you can see these two, let's just say young adults who wanted to be together, probably wanted to have a future together, but the parents had a little bit of a Romeo and Juliet situation, which is also referenced a little later on the song with Montague Street. Because obviously, if we're taking this literally, Dylan's parents were humble. They didn't have much. Mama made a homemade dress, which was very sweet for her to make for the girl. But Papa's bank book just wasn't enough. So her parents, this lady, they looked down on them. They didn't approve of the relationship. So he never forgot about that, which is why now he's taking this trip to the East Coast to try and find her. As he says, he's tangled up in blue. Then he describes their history a little bit. She was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam. But I used to, little too much force. So he may have helped her out of something, but perhaps to too great of an extent, basically. Who knows what it could have been, at that point. He talks about what he did. He had a job. He worked as a cook for a little bit. And then I like how he describes their history, where he's at, what he's leaving to try and find her. And then he definitely finds her. It kind of reminds me of Forrest Gump when Forrest is looking for Jenny and he finds her in a somewhat similar situation. She was working in a topless bar and I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face and the spotlight so clear. I love this little line that he was looking at the side of her face. So if he's looking at the side of her face, he's off to the side of the stage, probably hidden in the shadows in the back. He's not full front and center. He's kind of on the side, just is that her? How do I approach her? Do I approach her? He's not front and center. He's left of center or right. He's just somewhere hidden, basically. And then as the crowd's thinning out, she stands there at the back of his chair saying, "Tell me, don't I know your name?" I muttered something underneath my breath. She studied the lines on my face. I must admit I felt a little uneasy when she bent down to tie the laces of my shoe. I'm just saying, I don't think that she was tying up the laces of the shoe. I mean, it said the crowd was thinning out. She lit a burner on the stove and offered me a pipe. I thought you'd never say hello, she said. You look like the silent type. So she does remember him, because she invited him back. Well, I'm assuming. That's why she invited him back to his place, or her place, rather. Then she opened up a book of poems and handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And every one of them words rang true and glowed like burning coal, pouring off every page like it was written in my soul, from me to you, tangled up in blue. So, could this have been a book that he? Well, no. The poems weren't from him. I almost said, was this a childhood memoir? They wrote poetry for each other and she held it all these times. But no, it says from a 13th century poet. So, but either way, he does feel a connection with the words that were said there. And like I said, there was a reference to I lived with them on Montague Street in the basement down the stairs. So we get a change of perspective at this point. There was music in the cafes at night and revolution in the air. So I'm assuming he stayed with them for a while. And apparently, I believe maybe she was living with someone else at the time in a situation. I'm not sure. Because he says I live with them. So who's the other them? Could it be the other workers at the topless bar? She had to sell everything she owned, froze up inside, and when the bottom fell out, I became withdrawn. The only thing I knew how to do was to keep on keeping on like a bird that flew. So eventually, he basically found her, stayed for a little bit, it seems, and then moved on again. He kind of just withdrew, as he says. But then he says he wants to go back. So now I'm back again. I got to get to her somehow. Talks about all the changes in the people that he's met. Yeah. This song itself is just a big journey. A big open road kind of Americana journey. And if we're taking the album title cover, Blood on the Tracks, what I think of are railroad tracks, which are used to go somewhere, a mode of transportation. So if there's blood on the tracks, on this journey, you've been hurt. You've felt pain. You've been injured emotionally, physically, maybe, spiritually. There's blood on the tracks. As we're seeing here, already in the first track, this journey was not one of necessarily pleasure, and, it wasn't an easy journey. There was pain, a lot of pain, tangled up in here. That's really deep. That's from the first song. That's from the first song that we got all this. That's really, really good. And like I said, that guitar playing from Dylan, I thought was really nice as well. And the musicians around him just accentuated the delivery and the development of everything. Woo! That's a deep first track. Hey, let's go ahead and move into the next one. Though, let me pull up my lyrics and stuff. Man, that was a good one. Simple Twist of Fate. Let's go ahead and get into that one, huh?
They sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark, like a freight train moving with a simple twist of fate. How long must he wait one more time for a simple twist of fate?
Maybe I should have known by the title of this album, but I feel like this is going to be an album just full of heartbreak. Just filled with absolute heartbreak. This continues off from Tangled Up with that same feeling of missed chances, missed encounters, as he's talking about here. I really love the bass work, by the way. That would be Tony Brown playing the bass. I just like how the bass moves everything along. I love in this last parts of the verse how Bob Dylan really cries out. Like he hits a certain heartstring. He pulls it very hard. And on one of the verses he does that, and then there was this loud noise, and I was like, man, they really accentuated that punch. But there was just some lawn stuff happening outside. I looked over and I see stuff blowing. I'm like, oh, that's not part of the song. But yeah, his singing is very human. Once again, we're kind of getting this journey, this folktale, but it's a folktale of person. It's a folktale of himself. I would imagine that there's a lot of truth in these words. He's talking about relationships. He's talking about this simple twist of fate. What was this twist of fate? That they just happened to meet, him and this person? They sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark. Tingle in his bones, 'twas then he felt alone and wished that he'd gone straight and watched out for a simple twist of fate. So I was reading that line and I was like, why does he feel alone when she looks at him? What was this twist of fate? Is he saying that he wishes he said something? I don't think so. Because the next verse, he says, they walked alone by the old canal, a little confused, I remember well, and stopped into a strange hotel with a neon burning bright. He felt the heat of the night hit him like a freight train. Okay, something else with this music and the lyrics, and sorry if I'm not looking at the camera enough when I'm listening to the song. It's just because the lyrics and the story is so focused and so important to everything, the whole presentation of the music, that I have to pay attention to the story to make sure I know what's going on, because it's so important what musical beats may accentuate certain lyrics and stuff. But I mean, they go to a hotel after they meet, but maybe he regrets it. He regrets this twist of fate that brought them together, because he says he felt alone at that point. A saxophone someplace far off played as she was walking on by the arcade. As the light buzzed through a beat-up shade where he was waking up, she dropped a coin into a cup of a blind man at the gate and forgot about a simple twist of fate. So, and he wakes up, there's no one there, and he goes looking for her, basically. So I think that's what it all kind of wraps itself into. They had a chance encounter. He wished that he said something to perhaps make her stay, because after that night, she does not stay. She goes off again, and he goes looking for her. And something I did notice when I was listening to the music and reading the lyrics is, that I appreciate a lot about Dylan, is how he's painting a picture. I think that even if you're not exactly sure of where this story may take place, in a literal sense, I think you can see that Dylan is sharing a particular memory with us. He paints the picture of this street, you know, the saxophone, the sounds that you would hear. He really puts us in the place in which the story unfolds. And without being overly descriptive about what he's seeing and hearing, you can kind of fill in those blanks. That's what a good author does, right? They give you just enough so that you understand the story and get an idea of the setting, but not so much that it becomes over descriptive, over encumbered, and there's nothing left to imagination. There's still plenty to fill in with your imagination, but he does give you a lot to go with. He hears the ticking of the clocks and walks along where the parrot that talks hunts her down by the waterfront docks where the sailors all come in. Maybe she'll pick him out again. How long must he wait? One more time for a simple twist of fate. So it was fate that brought them together just for that one night. People tell me it's a sin to know and feel too much within. I still believe she was my twin, but I lost the ring. She was born in spring and I was born too late. Blame it on a simple twist of fate. It just wasn't going to work out between them. He blames it on spring and being born too late, but it was just not going to work out between them. It was a simple twist of fate that brought them together, but that twist will not keep them together. And the music is just a little moodier than the previous track, with little flashes in the pan of hope, because that's what he's hoping for. He's hoping for that chance again, but it's not going to come. This album's going to break my heart, isn't it? Let's keep on moving into the next one. That's going to be You're a Big Girl Now. Hey, maybe that'll be not as sad. Let's find out. That was the wrong one, sorry.
We're short and sweet. Bird on the horizon, sitting on a fence. You're a big girl all the way.
Alright, let me be the first to admit that so far, I know we're only 3 songs in, but that's my favorite song this far. That is melodic, carried by the breezes of the guitars. There are so many guitars going on in this particular track. 3 to be precise, which we'll talk about in a second. And they just carry this fluidity that's gorgeous. There's an undercurrent of melody. There's a sense of dynamic rhythm. And then there's also a playfulness in some of those guitars. Like, it's just really, really nice how those come together. That's like, besides Dylan himself, I mean, vocally, that's the star in this track. That drumming is snappy. You just get some hi-hat and some side stick action on there. Yeah. That's going to be Bill Berg on the drums, which I see that he has apparently a history of jazz and fusion music. That works so well here because even going back to that melody, there's something a little R&B-ish about those notes. If you listen to the beginning, there's something kind of R&B-ish, like an acoustic soul kind of feel. Oh, yeah. That's really, really good. I really enjoyed that. And then once again, we get the harmonica wrapping it all up at the end, repeating some of those vocal phrases that Dylan was doing throughout this track. This is a star. This is a hallmark. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit before I see the comments whenever this comes out, because I'm recording this like way before I, release it or whatever. But I wonder if this is like, is this one of the star tracks on the album? Because I really, really love that. So on the guitar here, like I said, you have 3. You have Bob Dylan, duh. You have Kevin Odegaard, and then you also have Chris Webber. And like I said, they're all just connecting brilliantly on here. And they're all doing different things. You can actually sit down and listen to each of the guitarists doing different things as they play through the music. And while I can't say who's doing what, they're all uniquely independent and I would imagine quite descriptive of who they are and how they're playing. That's really, really good. And I really enjoyed that drum work too. That's beautiful. And some piano thrown in just for good measure. Woo! This is good. Let's get into these lyrics, though. Our conversation was short and sweet. It nearly swept me off my feet. And I'm back in the rain. That conversation did not go well. It was short, it was sweet, it was quick and to the point, and at the end of it, he's back in the rain. But them, you are on dry land. You made it there somehow. You're a big girl now. She can handle herself. Perhaps in the past this would have gone a totally different way, but right now, no, she's matured. She's grown up. She knows how to handle you. she's fine. She's on dry land. You're the one going out into the rain. Bird on the horizon, sitting on the fence, he's singing his song for me at his own expense. And I'm just like that bird, singing just for you. I hope that you can hear me singing through these tears. I'm going to say it one more time. And I apologize if I'm being repetitive, but the way that he paints these pictures, guys, how he sees a bird sitting on the horizon on a fence singing their song, he says that bird is singing for him, to comfort him. Then he says, he twists it, he changes perspective, he says, I'm that bird, singing for you. I hope you can hear my song. She's got the window shut. She's not listening to you. Oh, man. Time is a jet plane. It moves too fast. Oh, but what a shame that all we've shared can't last. I can change, I swear. Ladies, how many times have you heard that? See what you can do. He threw it back at her again. I can change, I swear. See what you can do. I can make it through. You can make it too. Man. Love is so simple, to quote a phrase. You've known it all the time. I'm learning it these days. She has some emotional intelligence that he is just not ready for. She's in a league above you, man. Oh, I know where I can find you. In somebody's room. Woo! It's a price I have to pay. You're a big girl all the way. A change in the weather is known to be extreme. And what's the sense of changing horses in midstream? I'm going out of my mind with a pain that stops and starts like a corkscrew to my heart ever since we've been apart. He cannot stop thinking about her. He's trying to think, how can I get her back? I can change. How can I get her back? She's moved on. She's with someone else. You shot your shot. You tried. But it's a swing and a miss, bro. That's not going to work. But I really like how the music really captures all of that heartbreak, all that despair, all that romantic hope. Captures it all in the music, specifically, like I said, through those guitars. That's really good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next track. I had to pull my thing back up. That next one here, let me pull up my thing. It's going to be Idiot Wind. Interesting. Idiot Wind. Let's take a look or listen.
Someone's got it in for me. They're planting stories in their prayers. Even you, yesterday, you had to ask me where it was at. The truth with lies. One day you'll be in the ditch, flies buzzing around your eyes. But can't remember your face anymore. Your mouth has changed, your eyes don't look anymore. Down the highway, down the tracks, down the road to ecstasy.
All of his anger, all of his frustrations, all of it is just vehemently spat out in the most intense song thus far in the album. This is like pure catharsis for Dylan as he's just slinging out this fire the whole way through. For 7.5 minutes, he is nonstop on top of it. And this passion, this fire flows not just from his voice, but to the intensity once again, to the strings. You have the organ now involved, which is also, I see here, played by Dylan. The harmonica returns later on. Like how in the verse, kind of like what we've gotten before, like it starts off intense actually, and then has a little mid-tempo breakdown, and then it returns to form, and then we get the chorus, Idiot Wind. I wasn't even close. But it's here that we get a lot of strong pronunciations from him. So like Idiot Wind, but he puts like an E, like a big old capital E on the beginning of that, and he's like, Idiot Wind, like, but somehow he makes that like flow. You know? Like somehow he makes that work. And then I was thinking, like, what is Idiot Wind? Who is he talking about? What is he talking about? But he answers it like as soon as he says it. Idiot Wind is what's blowing out your mouth every time you speak. Woo! It was at that point exactly that I realized he is not in a happy situation right now. And what I thought was interesting is the perspective once again. Because in the beginning on the lyrics, it seemed like he was kind of, from what I'm guessing, like talking about just people in general and how they're reacting to him. Perhaps now that he's, well, I mean, he's obviously been well known before this, but now he's getting a lot of attention, at least from a lot of people. And he's kind of like fed up with it. They're just kind of being fake with him. They're just kind of trying to be around him just because it's him. You know, like they're just idiots. But then he slowly moves the perspective from like all these people around me trying to take advantage of me or get around me to one person. He kind of starts out like wide, but then starts to boil it down to a singular person, a singular entity, which is kind of a cool change in the narrative perspective there. He says, someone's got it in for me. They're planting stories in the press. He just doesn't want them all talking about him. They're lying about him. Whoever it is, I wish they'd just cut it out. But when they will, I can only guess. They say I shot a man named Gray and took his wife to Italy. She inherited $1 million, and when she died, it came to me. I can't help it if I'm lucky. So did they write that in the news? And it was like a rumor, but then at the end he's like, well, I can't help it if that happened. Is that a true story? People see me all the time and they just can't remember how to act. See? Their minds are filled with big ideas, images, and distorted facts. Even you. See? Right there's that change. Even you. Yesterday, you had to ask me where it was at. I couldn't believe after all these years, you didn't know me any better than that sweet lady. So, at first he's talking about all these people that don't really know him. They're just strangers on the street that think they know him because of all these distorted facts. But then he's talking about them. You can imagine him talking to someone, right? He's talking to someone about this, perhaps over coffee at the table. Man, all these people are writing all this stuff about me. They're saying this. They're saying this. Even you were doing this. That's cold-hearted. Idiot wind blowing every time you move your mouth. Blowing down the back roads, heading south. Idiot wind blowing every time you move your teeth. You're an idiot, babe. It's a wonder that you still know how to breathe. Oh my God. He's hitting it hard here. Now let me tell you what I thought. When he says idiot wind blowing every time you move your mouth, obviously, you know, like every time you speak, it's just stupidity. Blowing down the back roads, heading south. I thought that was a double meaning, to be honest. I thought, one, this other person that he's talking to is also part of the problem in spreading these rumors. So these rumors that she's starting, because he said sweet lady, blowing down the back roads heading south, she's spreading these through back roads and other people are hearing them, so all these rumors start, and perhaps that person was the source of it. Also, maybe this is a little a little grosser, but I thought like back roads heading south, idiot wind, like when you're what's the word to say this? When you're farting, if you fart, you're blowing out wind from the back road down south, and he's saying like the same thing is coming out your mouth. I ran into the fortune teller who said, beware of lightning that might strike. I haven't known peace and quiet for so long, I can't remember what it's like. That fortune doesn't matter to him because he hasn't known any quiet. There's a lone soldier on the cross, smoke pouring out of a boxcar door. You didn't know it. You didn't think it could be done. In the final end, he won the war after losing every battle. So he's saying, after all this, I'm going to make it through. I may lose the battle. I may lose this right here. But in the end, I'm going to win, and I'm going to win the war. So all this, these are just bumps in the road to where I'm heading. It was gravity which pulled us down and destiny which broke us apart. You tamed the lion in my cage, but it just wasn't enough to change my heart. Now everything's a little upside down. As a matter of fact, the wheels have stopped. What's good is bad, what's bad is good. You'll find out when you reach the top. You're on the bottom. He throws a little salt there on the end. He says, you'll understand all this when you're at the top. He had a little bit of a pride moment, right? He's at the top, so he understands it. He said, you'll understand whenever you get to the top. Then he puts in parentheses, small print, you're on the bottom. And then this person, I'm assuming, died. I noticed at the ceremony, your corrupt ways had finally made you blind. I can't remember your face anymore. Your mouth has changed. Your eyes don't look like mine. The priest wore black on the seventh day. I waited for you on the running boards near the cypress trees while the springtime turned slowly into autumn. Of course, taking the seasons, springtime, refreshments, things are coming alive, slowly turning to autumn. The leaves are turning now to brown. They're dying. So I'm imagining this is basically her dying. And he's still saying that her idiot wind is blowing around like a circle in my skull. So even still, after this person's dead, he's still hearing them talk, and perhaps what they've said is still having lasting effects now. And then he just goes on from there. I mean, he really just goes on in the lyrics from there. Woo! He got it out. This feels like the catharsis right now to this side of the album. And actually, listening to the album, it's been really cool because it starts at a certain place, and then it gradually develops into what I'm imagining is kind of like the key moment so far in this side with Idiot Wind. Woo! That's strong. That's really strong. Let's go on to the last song for now. The last one right now is going to be You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go. So perhaps we might have a little bit of regret. Let's find out. Is there just no volume? Or hold on, let me go back. Yeah, Idiot Wind. Okay. Let's let it lead in. Maybe it's just silence in the beginning. I'm sorry.
But this time round it's more correct. Mine have been like Verlaine's and Rambo. But I see you in the sky above and the tall grass and the ones I love.
That's a beautiful way to end this side of the album. A little bit more of an upbeat tune. There's a little more love in this one. There's a little more romantic poetry. But at the same time, there is that sadness of this relationship, this thing we have is going to end. Because, I mean, even the lyrics, you're going to make... Hold on, I actually lost it. You're going to make me lonesome when you go. When you go. Not if you go, when you go. At some point, you're going to go. And I'm going to 100% miss you with all my heart. Once again, all coming back to the title of this album, Blood on the Tracks. When this person leaves, there's going to be blood on the tracks. There's going to be pain and hurt involved. There's going to be bloodstains left on the railroad tracks because she still has his heart and it's still pumping for her. That's awesome. That's just so nice how all of this comes together so well. And even Dylan singing is just a little more heartfelt and sentimental. And like I said, this is like that in love kind of feel. That in love, moment to moment romance. I've seen love go by my door. It's never been this close before. Never been so easy or so slow. I've been shooting in the dark too long. When something's not right, it's wrong. You're going to make me lonesome when you go. He's acknowledging that he's never felt this way before. This person makes him feel something closer to love than he's ever felt before. Dragon clouds so high above. I like that line. Actually, let me go on. I've only known careless love. It's always just hit me from below, but this time around it's more correct. Right on target, so direct. You're going to make me lonesome when I go. I like the line dragon clouds so high above because when I think of dragon clouds, when he says that, I'm thinking of like when you lay back in the field, you and your friend or your lover, whoever, and you look up in the clouds and you say, you start imagining clouds. What do you see? What do you see? I see this. I see this. He says dragon clouds. I'm just imagining it's giving him this childlike view, this butterflies in your stomach kind of feeling. That his imagination is sparked so that he feels like he can look up in the clouds again like a child and like, look at the clouds and look at the shapes and stuff in there. Like, when was the last time you've looked up in the clouds in the sky and, oh, there's a this, there's a this, there's a this. More than likely, it was when you were younger and a kid. And remember the freedom you felt when you were a kid, that wonderful innocence, that childlike nature. He's basically saying that this person makes him feel that way. You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring is sprung. One more. Anytime I see your face, I'm such a happy individual. I'm sorry. Purple clover, Queen Anne's lace. Crimson hair across her face. It's the same red-haired girl that he mentioned back in the opening track. You can make me cry if you don't know. Can't remember what I was thinking of. You might be spoiling me too much, love. You're going to make me lonesome when I go, or when you go. Flowers on the hillside blooming crazy. He's talking about all these beautiful things in nature. The flowers are blooming. It's no more springtime turning to autumn. You know, shut up because I'm tired of hearing your idiot wind. He's fallen. Situations have ended sad. Relationships have all been bad. Mine been like Verlaine's and Rimbaud. I'm imagining that's just a reference to something from the time that I'm unaware of. But there's no way I can compare all them scenes to this affair. You're going to make me wonder what I'm doing, staying far behind without you. You're going to make me wonder what I'm saying. She's going to leave him in confusion. I'll look for you in old Honolulu, San Francisco, or Ashtabula. You're going to make me leave now, I know. But I'll see you in the sky above, in the tall grass, in the ones I love. In all these beautiful things in the world, even if it's not her, he will be reminded of her in all the beautiful things that he sees around him. In all nature, in the people, everywhere. He'll always be reminded of her because she was that love. And he'll see that love in other things. What a gorgeous poem. It's a song that he wrote for this person and for everything. That's really good. That's a nice, lighter, poetic way to end this side of the album. That's good. That's good, especially after Idiot Wind. This is a nice, light respite just after that. Let me know what you guys thought of the album, though. Have you enjoyed it so far? Are you looking forward to the second half? Are you kind of like, it's fine. I don't know. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I really do hope that you enjoyed this. I wanted to do something a little special, a little extra for you guys, which is why I did the poll, which never really mattered anyway. And there was a lot of response, and there was a lot of, serious fan response to that poll. Everyone felt very strongly about the albums presented there, which is why I was excited, because I'm like, I'm going to be doing them all anyway. But I really appreciate you guys watching. If you did stick around this far, don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you've gotten this far, I don't know how long I've been recording, but if you've gotten this far and you're not subscribed to the channel, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. But otherwise, you can follow me in a bunch of places. You can support the channel on Patreon if you'd like. All of that's up here on a little PNG file that I just flipped up. But otherwise, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Come back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you then, guys. Bye.